Hello, hello. Welcome to Media Queen TV. I'm Aldwyn, Altuney, your host for the next hour or so. We have a fantastic guest with us today, the amazing Shari Ware. Now, before I introduce Shari, I just want to let you know a little bit about her. She is a health mindset specialist from the Gold Coast in Australia, as I am. She's a best-selling author and international speaker who, after releasing 100 kilograms naturally, she's on a mission to help you leap off the weight merry-go-round and navigate the path to a healthier you that's not defined by a number on a scale or the size of your body. She helps you to find your healthy your way. Welcome, Shari.
Thank you for having me, Aldwyn. It's nice to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. 100 kilos. Wow, that is amazing. That's almost like another person.
Yeah, it was actually more than my daughter at the time.
Wow. Wow. And what was it that what do you think it was that actually got you to that weight in the first place? And what was that journey like? Was there a turning point where you said, right, that's it. I've had enough, and what happened?
Yeah, so I started putting on weight from around the age of 5. It wasn't the worst childhood in the world, but I did have a challenging childhood. And part of that childhood, I had a couple of instances of sexual abuse on 2 separate occasions by 2 different people. And what I didn't realise for most of my adult life was that as much as I thought that it was just something that happened to me and I dealt with it, I hadn't actually ever dealt with it. And it wasn't till I was in my 30s that and so from the age of 5 I started putting on the weight, and probably by the end of primary school I was about 60 kilos. By the end of high school I was about 100 kilos easily. And then I decided, oh hey, I'd never had a boyfriend, and I thought I might like a boyfriend. So I didn't like what I saw in the mirror. So I thought, well, if I don't love what I'm looking at, how is anybody else going to love what they're seeing? So I went on this mission to lose weight, which I did, and I got down to lost about 40 kilos. Then I got down to a size 12, and consequently I did meet a nice young man, and we fell in love, and we had a child not long after. And then we had a 9-year relationship. That was because we were young and we had a young child. There was a lot of stress on that relationship, financially and personally. And what I didn't realise is that I hadn't dealt with any of that stuff, that emotional stuff from my childhood. And because I hadn't dealt with it, I had all of these issues about self-esteem, self-confidence, whether I was a good person, all of those things. And that then came through my relationship. Consequently, it didn't end well about 9 years later. And when it did end, I was probably about 140 kilos at that stage, because my weight over that 9 years had been up and down. It was like a roller coaster. And when it did end, I was very, very hurt. And I subconsciously, it wasn't a conscious thing at the time, but subconsciously I decided I never wanted to go through that again. And so that just compounded the issue. I just kept putting on weight over the next few years. So I ended up being at one point, I don't know the exact highest weight I was, but it would have been over 180 kilos.
Wow.
And it's not like, it's massive. I really was not in a good place. And it's not that I didn't know that I had a problem and that I didn't try. At some point, I did become aware of what I was doing. What I had done was created this massive suit of armor, this physical suit of armor on my body, because subconsciously, if I made myself unattractive physically, then I wasn't ever going to be going through that hurt that I'd been through. And then one day I realised what I was doing. I was like, I had this massive aha moment. I thought, oh my goodness, Shari, that is a protection. It was a protection mechanism. And still then, I still wasn't able to shift the weight because that fear, that very real fear, was there. And that fear controlled my whole life. So what changed? Well, what changed was when my daughter was about 16, I woke up one day and I thought, well, maybe I don't want to be alone for the rest of my life. She was 16 at the time. We already had plans that in a couple of years, when she was about 18, she was going to have graduated from high school. And we had family in the States. So she was going to be going over there to spend some time with them, at least a year. And I thought, when that happens, I'm going to be alone on the couch with no life, because my life was work. I worked full time, and my family. I did everything for my family. I was foster carer for about 7 years, and so my life revolved around making sure that I was a parent that wanted to be there. So, and I was lucky in that I could work my work life around the children. So I made sure I was at everything. I made sure they got to everything. I made sure I did my work, which didn't leave any time for me. And I thought, well, one day in a couple of years, I'm going to be alone and I'm not going to have a life outside of my work. And that didn't sound like much fun to me. And that was really what was the key for me. And I was very blessed in that happened naturally. Once I had that happen, I no longer had that fear. That fear wasn't there anymore. That fear of a relationship was gone. And in fact, it was something that I wanted. So I actually use a quote from a book called The Secret Code to Success by Noah St. John. And in that book, he says you can't fix a why-to problem with a how-to answer. So we're talking about weight loss here. Most people know if they want to lose weight, they know there's at least one thing, maybe two things they know that they can do that's going to get them moving in the right direction. But if they're not doing that, there's a reason why. And quite often, it's not because they don't have a really big why. I had a massive why. I actually literally didn't know when I woke up. I didn't know if I was going to wake up in the morning. When I went to bed at night, I didn't know if I was going to wake up because I was literally a walking, talking heart attack waiting to happen. I don't know how I didn't have major health problems. I was very lucky. And it's not that I didn't know what to do. I had massive why. I had this daughter that I wanted to see grow up, and if she wanted to go to university, go to uni, graduate. I wanted to see her get married and have children. So you can't say that's not a big why. I wanted to be there, but I had this really big why not, and that was the fear of opening myself up to a relationship again. And it wasn't until that went away, which luckily it did, that I was able to do what I needed to do. So then I'm not going to say it was a walk in the park. There was still some work involved, but I was able to make the changes I needed to make to my lifestyle, to release 100 kilos over 3 years, took some time. And that journey, I have to say that it was an amazing journey. It started out as a weight loss journey. And what I mean by a weight loss journey is that I was very focused on the number on the scales because I didn't like what I saw in the mirror. And I thought that if I just got that weight down, that was going to fix everything. So I did whatever I needed to see that number go down. And some of those things, looking back, I know were not actually that healthy for me. Along the way, it turned into a weight release journey. And by that, I mean that I realised that I knew what the real issue was, that it was emotional. It's not that I didn't have willpower. It's not that I was a bad person. It was that I had this massive fear that was creating this suit of armour around me. So I realised that I needed to do the inside work to be able to make the changes long term. Because if I didn't do that, at some point, one day, the weight's going to come back, right?
Yes.
That's right. So it turned into a weight release journey, and then it turned into a health journey, which continues to this day and will continue for the rest of my life. And what I mean when I say health journey is that I realized that the number on the scales doesn't matter. It doesn't indicate how healthy a person is. What matters is how healthy the physical body is, how healthy the mental mind is, how healthy our heart is. Not the number on the scale, not the size of your body. There are some people out there, you know, who may be in a super small body, and they may not be so healthy in physically, in mindset, in their heart. You know, there's so many people out there who are in a small body and they don't like what they see in the mirror. So that's still not healthy. So I've come to this point in my life where I realize, well, there's so many people out there who just want to love what they see in the mirror. People come to me for weight loss, but I actually don't help people lose weight. I help people to love themselves enough to do what they need to do for them in the way that works for them.
Wow, that's beautiful. And the thing is, you know, with weight, we put it on in layers, so it needs to come off in layers, you know, and you know, anything that says, oh, you know, lose weight really quickly, well, often what happens is people lose weight and then put on weight just as quick as they lose it, right? And you know, lose 10 kilos, gain 10 kilos, you know, and I know I've been on that journey a lot myself, and I know I've been a emotional eater as well. I know that food is a comfort thing for me, and I think for a lot of people, you know, we get comfort with food, and particularly now with winter, I'm finding as we're coming up to winter, I'm finding I'm wanting to eat more, to put on extra layers for warmth as well.
That's right, and that's a human thing. That's a human mechanism.
Yeah, it's fascinating. We've got Angelique here. Hello, Angelique. She says, amazing what the mind does. Absolutely. Now, anyone watching this, if you have any questions watching this on YouTube or Facebook, please pop them in the chat. If you've got any questions for Shari or myself, pop them in, or any comments, and we can share that up on screen in the next hour or so. Shari, I'm fascinated by what you said about, you know, you wanted to be in a relationship. So that was one of the motivators for losing weight. And it's interesting because some people love fat people, right? Some people are really into, some people are into fatograms, and, you know, some people love fat people. However, the fact of the matter is it's not healthy, right? You know, whether you love, you know, and I love curves on myself. I must say, I always say I'm a voluptuous woman, and I think women do need curves, right? And I think it's quite natural to have curves. And, you know, back in Rubenesque days, they considered it, you know, very beautiful to be, you know, overweight even. However, the fact of the matter is your body's got to work harder to move the blood around and to, you know, so it is not healthy to be fat. And yet most of the world's population is overweight, right? Particularly in the Western world. So it's a massive issue for people. And then also the fact that we're not getting proper nutrients in our food as well is a massive problem. You know, genetically modified food, and, you know, people are eating so much more to get the nutrients. So what are some solutions that you can, or some tips you can give people on, you know, how to lose weight and maintain weight? I know you talk about self-love, and it is about self-love too. But, you know, what about nutritional tips as well?
Yes. So when it comes to nutrition, and I just want to say before I say this, my life, my world is a diet-free zone. I'm never on a diet. I used to be on diets all the time, and I'm never on a diet now. What I do have is a healthy nutrition plan. I have a healthy nutrition plan that I stick to. I'm not 100% on it. Nobody is. And I have what I call sometimes foods that are part of my healthy nutrition plan. It's a mindset shift and a mindset perspective. So that's actually one of the biggest things I can say to you is that, what's the best diet? So many people say, what's the best diet? And I actually say no diet, first of all. And the second one is your healthy nutrition plan. What works for you? Because there's two questions I always tell people to ask themselves when they're looking at making a change in their life for their health. The first one is, am I happy to do this for the rest of my life? Because if the answer to that question, am I willing to do this for the rest of my life? Because if the answer to that question is no, well, then don't make that change, find another change, because this is not for 12 weeks or 12 months or 5 years. This is your health, and you want your health for the rest of your life. So if you're going to make a change, you want to be making changes that you can do for the rest of your life. The second question is, am I happy to make that change for the rest of my life? Because if you're not happy doing it, if you're doing something that you absolutely hate, that's just as unhealthy. So that's how I want to put that first. And then when it actually comes to tips for what should be included or what could be included in that healthy nutrition plan, is it's always best for whole foods, the least amount of processed foods as you can get, lots of fruit and vegetables, and that's pretty much. I have a healthy nutrition plan, and my healthy nutrition plan has actually changed over the past few years. And that's because of, as I said, my health journey continues. I keep learning things. In fact, a couple of years ago, I went to a seminar that absolutely totally blew all of my beliefs about food out of the water. Opened up a whole new world for me. And it is based very much on whole food, plant-based. It also goes so far as to say that meat is something that we definitely want to eat not much of. So I wouldn't say that I'm vegan or vegetarian. I have my own healthy nutrition plan, and that has evolved into mostly whole food, plant-based. I do still have meat, which is why I don't equate to vegan or vegetarian, but I just have animal products much less than what I used to. However, we don't want to have this mindset that we need to make all these changes right now, this second, because what happens when we try to change too much in our lives? It's not sustainable. We can't keep it up. So I didn't just one day say, okay, that's it, I'm going to totally change the way that I eat, because I know that I would never have sustained it. I've made the changes slowly over time. I make a change, and then when that's become a habit in my life, then I'm like, okay, well, what am I going to change now that's going to lead to a healthier me? So I've done it in stages, and that makes it so much easier to do.
I love that. Yes, small changes over time, definitely more sustainable. We've got a few more comments here. Angelique says, really good, inspiring story. Thank you, Angelique. Kizzy is asking, hello, Kizzy, what did you change on your habits to lose weight? Food, exercises? Good question there, Kizzy. So we've mentioned a little bit there on, so obviously whole foods, having a healthy eating plan. What about exercise?
Yeah, so what I want to say first of all, and this is part of how my story went, and it started out with weight loss. So in the weight loss phase, those first couple of years of the weight loss, when I was just focused on that number on the scales, I did some things that I actually totally do not recommend to people to do. I actually stuck to 1,200 calories to do that. Luckily for me, I started listening to podcasts and doing research on my journey, and found that, because I never understood why I would lose weight and then it would come back very easily, and that's because of the way that I was trying to do it. So please don't do that. So the answer to the question is yes, I did change my eating in a way that I would not recommend anybody to do now. There's much better ways, which is basically whole food, plant-based, as least processed as possible. Not reducing your calories. It's really not a calories in, calories out. There's so much more to it than that. So I definitely do not recommend people count calories or focus on calories. It's really about the quality of food that you're taking in. You could just say, we're talking about 1,200 calories. You could eat 1,200 calories of fruit and vegetables, and you could eat 1,200 calories of donuts. Which, do you think eating the 1,200 calories of donuts is going to be good for you? Going to be healthy? It's not. So it's not about the calories. It's about what that those calories are made up of. That's really important. So yes, I did change my food. I did add in exercise. Once again, I didn't do it all at once. I've started with the food. Then I got to the food to a point where it was a habit. I had it under control. I'm like, okay, this is good. Now I can start to add in the exercise. And I've also gone to extremes on the exercise. I really want people to know that I've done it all. I've been to the extremes at both ends of the scale, and it really is about finding that middle ground. So you don't need to exercise for 3 hours a day, which is something that I've done in the past. We just need to move. I actually, like I say, it's a diet-free zone. I even try to steer people away from that word exercise, because exercise for somebody who doesn't like exercise, hello, that's me. It doesn't feel good. However, I've come to the point now in my life where I exercise regularly. I go to the gym 3, 4, 5 times a week on average. But it's just about movement. Let's talk about moving our body, especially if you're not moving your body now. And I find it so helpful for people to know why. Why do you need to? It's not just about losing weight. In fact, that's just a good benefit. Our body does not have a pump. It doesn't have a pump to pump everything through the body to get it where it needs to go. Movement is our body's pump. If we don't move, our body doesn't get the nutrients where it needs it.
I love that. And doing things that are fun, like something I love to do is I do yoga, and I go to dancing. I do dancing at the gym, for example, because I really love that. I do beach walks, so it doesn't actually feel like I'm doing hard exercise. Whereas when I've done boot camps and after an hour, not only am I absolutely exhausted, but I can't move for the next week because I'm so sore everywhere, and that surely can't be healthy, right?
Yeah. I mean, there are some people who love that, and if they love that, great. But if you're somebody who doesn't like exercise, then don't go doing that, because are you going to stick at it? No, you're not. So I definitely say to people, if you love to dance, go dancing. Yoga's awesome. And even just going for a walk. It doesn't even have to be a power walk. It can just be, if you're not moving at all, you are going to get so much benefit, even just going for a 10-minute stroll. That's going to be better than sitting on the couch if that's what you're currently doing. And just start at a small place. Make it so small that you can't say no. Some people actually just start by walking to their letterbox. Just if that's where you need to start, give yourself permission to start small, because even walking to your letterbox once a day is better than not walking at all. And then build on that. Build on that. Once you're comfortable with that, you're doing that. Well, then say, okay, well, I might do that twice a day, or maybe I'm going to go outside of my letterbox and walk down the street and come back. It doesn't matter. It's whatever is going to be the easiest thing for you.
Yes, or get yourself a dog and let the dog take you for a walk every day. There you go. There's a good excuse to exercise.
That's right. Or a buddy, like a walking buddy.
Yes.
Because then you've got somebody to talk to, and you're getting connection as well, which is a really big thing. I actually, as much as I still don't like exercise, I don't like the execution of it. I love the results of it, but I actually go to group classes most of the time. And the reason for that is because I get connection at the group classes. So that makes me go. So you've got to find what works for you, what is going to help you to implement that long-term, it's a lifelong change.
And it's ongoing, isn't it? It's like the personal development journey. It's not like you suddenly do one course and suddenly you've got it all sorted. Like, I've invested at least $500,000 on my personal development in the last 15 years, and I continue to invest. I continue to invest in mentors, and if you want to fast track your success in life in any area, it's important to learn from those who have done it, so that you're not wasting your time to learn things that other people already know. So, you either pay in time or you pay in money with anything you do, and having great mentors around you and having that self-love, which is a journey too. I think we come into the world very very loving. And then over time, things happen and people get very shut down often. And half the thing is just getting conscious to where you have those limiting beliefs or where the imposter syndrome comes in, or, and often it's subconscious. 95% of what we do is often unconscious or subconscious, and we're not even aware of it, like emotional eating.
Right.
Emotional eating is a very subconscious thing, just feel like eating, just eat. And then before you know it, you're totally full. And that's the thing too, is eating not to be completely full, but actually leaving a little bit of room there as well is quite a thing. Now, I have European background, Shari, and in our family, unless you're absolutely full, you are not leaving. In fact, anyone who visits, they need to be absolutely full before they leave the house, right? And and my mum was always eat, and that's their way of showing love,
Yeah.
So it
absolutely is.
It is. It's actually it's a love language, I guess, is food, and it's part of how we express our love. And that's the thing, is to actually to shift the way we look at it. You can still have food in a very loving way, but just have smaller portions, or just take those little steps. Maybe eat on a small plate rather than a big plate.
Yes,
little things
right.
like that.
All of those things. But it's so important if you've got something that you want to achieve in your life and you're not being successful at it, it's not because there's something wrong with you. I really want people to know this. It's not that there's anything wrong with you. It's that you've got something in your subconscious, because there is a reason for every single thing that we do as a human being. So the human brain is, I call it, an overprotective parent. It has one job, and its one job is to keep us safe and protected. And it will do whatever it feels it has to do to keep us safe and protected. And sometimes those things actually don't help us. But it's doing its job. So it's about us starting the conversation with that subconscious mind to say, hey, I know that you're trying to help me. I don't really understand how you think that's helping me. However, I know that you're just coming from a place of love, but I really want this. And starting that conversation happening and asking questions, not why, don't ask why is this happening to me? That's not a good quality question. To get the subconscious brain on board, we need to be starting to ask questions about how can I achieve whatever it is? What can I do to implement this thing into my life? Whatever it is, asking questions like that. Also, being willing to, when we say we want to lose weight, first of all, that's just a symptom. It's a symptom of a much deeper issue. Louise Hay actually said it best, and she said that weight is simply a manifestation of a much deeper issue. So it's all emotional. And that's a symptom, and it's the top layer. Why is the question, and you need to get down into the layers to really get to what is at the root of that. So starting a conversation with yourself, what is at the root of this? And you can ask yourself that question, do some journaling. I definitely recommend people to do journaling. I was actually doing a business exercise a couple of years ago, and it was an exercise based around the people I'm trying to help. And so for me, that's usually a bit easier because I just put myself back into the mind of 180 kilo Shari. So that's what I did. And I had a question, and the question was, what are your core life beliefs? So there were 3 lines, and I just automatically wrote 3 things. And then I sat back and looked at them, and I thought, oh my goodness, I had a major revelation. So the first one was everything happens for a reason, which I still believe to this day, and I will probably believe for the rest of my life. It was the last 2 beliefs that were the real big ahas for me. The first one was that everybody else is more important than me. And the last one was I'm a bad person. And I realized when I looked down at them, I thought, oh my goodness, that's when you feel like that about yourself. Why would you do anything good for yourself? Consciously, you will try really hard, but subconsciously, you will you will self-sabotage and you will, and so I had a life of putting everybody else before me because I wasn't important. I was a bad person. And that's what so many people do. They don't realize that they've got these beliefs that are so ingrained in there. They're not even aware of them. And that's why they're doing what they're doing. So it's really important to start doing that inner work. And I know that at some point on my journey, those beliefs changed. And if they hadn't, then I'd still be 180 kilo or maybe 200 kilo Shari by now. So it's so important to do that work, to have that conversation.
Yeah, and while you're doing that, also not to beat yourself up, right? While you're doing that, and realize that, hey, it's okay, because most people have limiting beliefs of some sort, and and that has helped shape us to keep us safe, right? So once we get conscious about those, then we can shift them. Now, Angelique says here, yes, you would end up yo-yo dieting. So this is partly why people yo-yo diet, because they believe a certain thing and then they go about shifting it, but then naturally it's like a rubber band. It's like you pull the rubber band and then it'll just come back into place if you don't sort of break the rubber band, right? Yeah. So any other tips there to help people end yo-yo dieting?
So not this all or nothing. Take away the all or nothing approach. Okay, I've gone off I didn't stick to my plan today, so I'm just going to keep going. Well, it's kind of like, just say you drop your phone. Do you just keep picking up it and dropping it? Or do you go, oh my goodness, okay, I've dropped my phone. Let's try and be a bit careful, a bit better with that now, just to protect it. So not this all or nothing approach. It's totally human to not be perfect. And it's not about perfection. You can look at it two ways. You can say, okay, so somebody who, just say they've got the worst eating plan, like they eat mostly processed food, they're eating a lot of takeaway, and they say, okay, I'm going to have a salad today and that's going to make me healthy. Well, it's not. But it also goes the other way. If you're mostly eating whole foods, unprocessed foods, then, and just say pretty much 80% of your week is made up of that food, and then you have 1 or 2 meals that include processed foods or takeaway or something, does that undo all of the good that you've done? No, it doesn't. So it's just about finding a plan that works for you, because again, you want to be happy about what you're doing. If you restrict yourself in such a way that you take away everything that you love, that's not healthy either, because first of all, it just makes you focus on that. You're so focused on that, that's all you can think about. So eventually it's not going to work. You're going to go back to, you're just going to have a big binge because you're restricting yourself. And negative thoughts, negative feelings in the body, negative emotions, it creates acid in the body, which is also not healthy for us. Like there's science that shows all of that. So it's really not about beating up on ourselves. It's about making a plan and knowing that at some times it's like a car, right? You get in a car, you're going somewhere that you've never been before. So if you're like me, you put maps on your phone and you just follow the directions. But sometimes maps isn't updated and there might be a set of lights instead of a roundabout, or there might be roadworks and so you have to take a detour. There might be some speed bumps on the way. You might get halfway there and think, oh, I need to go to the toilet. So you have to stop and go to the toilet. This journey is just like that. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how the journey goes. It doesn't matter if the journey went exactly as you planned. In fact, it's not going to go exactly as you planned. It goes the way it's meant to. But the important thing is, as long as you just keep going, you're going to get to your destination in the end. We always do.
Absolutely. Everything happens for you, not to you, they say. And then we have Christmas, right, where we have a whole lot of food on the table, and it's and it's important to enjoy that too, and everything in moderation, so have fun with it. Angela says, congratulations to you, Shari. Hello, Angela, good to see you. Fun exercises. Yes, absolutely. Now, Angela's got a tip for us here. Just stand on your tippy toes, hold for 10 seconds, down and repeat. Nice one. That would work on your calves.
Yeah.
Excellent, Angela. Any other tips from anyone else watching this or questions, please pop them in the chat. We'll be chatting for about another half hour or so. I'd love to hear from you. So, Shari, you put a book out. Now, can you explain a bit about your book and what did it take to get that happening?
So I've actually got two books. So the first one is called Fat to Fabulous, Diet-Free Weight Loss for Real Women. And that one was basically, it's 4 chapters. It's not a big book.
Okay.
The first 3 are basically my story, because I felt that it was really important for people to understand that I know what they're going through. And then the last chapter is my 31 keys to successful weight release as I believed them back then when I wrote the book. And then I decided to write a second book, because as I continued on my health journey, some of the things that I'd written in that last chapter of my first book, I no longer believed anymore. I could have just gone back and rewritten the book. However, I didn't want to. I actually really like that I can see it's a record of how my beliefs have changed over the time, and they're still evolving, which is the important thing. We absolutely have to be open to our beliefs changing, because at some point they need to for us to progress. So the first book actually took me 3 years to publish it. Now, it's not that it's 4 chapters. It doesn't take 3 years to write a book. But for a long time, I got so far and then I didn't finish it. And the reason why I didn't finish it was because I was scared. I was scared because I thought, okay, and this was subconscious. I didn't realize what was going on for a while. And the point is, this stuff impacts us in every area of our life. So it's so important to do this work. I was scared because I thought, well, when I finish the book, the next step is to publish the book. Then when I publish the book, what's going to happen? Well, people are going to read it. And what are people going to think? And then I went and did a course on NLP, actually, which opened up a whole new world to me. And that's what got me through. That's what pushed me through to finish that book. Within a month of finishing that course, so this book had been sitting there for 3 years, not finished. Within a month of finishing that course, I had finished the book. I had done my first edit and had it off to the editors, and it was published, very soon after that. And the mindset shift that got me through that was, if publishing that book only helps one person, wouldn't it be worth it? And it's helped more people, So I'm so glad that I did that, and it helped me in so many ways, and I know that it's helped other people. So many people out there just think, oh my goodness, I'm a bad person. I just can't stick to anything. It's so important for them to understand that it's not anything about that. And this is why it's so important to share stories, because people then realize that, hey, they're not the only ones. They're not alone. There's other people going through the same stuff, and there's a way out.
Well, congratulations on that, Shari. That's amazing. I know for some people it takes 20 years to put a book out, right? So, it's 50% of anything you do is just starting. And then, of course, finishing, completing it, you actually build self-esteem, you build self-love by completing tasks, because the more you don't honor your word around things, which is an ongoing thing too, is to constantly be in integrity. That's something that is an ongoing challenge, being in integrity all the time. However, the more you are in integrity with yourself and others, the more you honor your word, the better you will feel about yourself, the more confidence you will have about yourself, and the more inclined you will be to honor your word moving forward. And it is a gradual process. It takes time, and it's not like suddenly you go from not being confident to confident. It takes time.
It takes time.
And it is a journey. So what other tips do you have, Shari, around loving yourself, self-love?
Oh, yes, this is a subject so close to my heart because, and this is the thing, like I lost 100 kilos and I still didn't like what I saw in the mirror. So many people have this belief that, oh, if I just get to here, that's going to make it, that's the belief I had, that's going to make everything better, but it doesn't. You've got to do the inner work, the self-love work. So one of the biggest things I do is again from Louise Hay, mirror work. I was listening to a podcast or something on YouTube from her, and she was saying how one of the first things she does in the morning is she goes to the mirror and she tells herself how much she loves her. And I thought, oh, okay, I know that I knew that I still had a lot of work to do on the self-love because I realised I got to this point, I still didn't love what I saw. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to do that. So woke up in the morning, the first morning I was going to do it, woke up, went to the toilet, went to the bathroom, looked in the mirror and tried to look into my eyes and tell myself how much I loved me. And I actually couldn't do that. I couldn't look into my eyes. So I didn't look into my eyes, but I still told myself how much I loved me. And I thought, okay, I'm going to come back and do it again tomorrow. It took me a while. I did it every day. And every day it got a little bit easier until, a few weeks later, I could look myself in the eyes and tell myself, looking right into my eyes, how much I love myself and why. It sounds like such a simple thing, but you would be amazed at how many people, when they do it the first time, they struggle with it. So it's something that I highly recommend people do. Just start with that. Another thing with the self-love is flipping that script in our head. When we've got the negative thoughts come up, when, we tell ourselves, even I still do it. Shari, oh, you're so stupid. I immediately now go, oh, no, Shari. I have this conversation. And sometimes I have it out loud. Sometimes my daughter looks at me really strange. She's like, that's okay. I'm having a conversation with myself. And I'll say, no, Shari, you're not stupid. That probably wasn't the best way to do it. And next time you could do it better. But it's about being aware of those thoughts that go on in our head, especially when they come up about, they're going to come up about how we think about ourselves, how we think about our body. I say when I'm doing my mirror work in the morning, now I do it naked. Some people go too much information, but I do. And I look at my body and, I do not have a bikini model figure. I've still got some weight on me. I've got lots of lumps and bumps. And I look at my body and I thank my body and I say, thank you. I love you so much because for so many years I really didn't treat you well and you were strong through the whole of it. So it really is about having that conversation. We have to be having those conversations with ourselves.
I love those tips. That's fantastic. And the mirror work, something that I heard once is, look at yourself in the eyes, in the mirror and say, I love you. I truly, truly love you. And mean it, right? Look into it and mean it because,
yes.
you're there with yourself from the beginning and you're there with yourself at the end, right? You're the one who is with yourself till the very end. And, trusting yourself, getting to know yourself, understanding, and listening in to when the imposter syndrome comes in and when those little voices come in. You need to be conscious to it to be able to shift it, right?
Yeah.
So just start noticing. And something else that's fantastic is meditation. And, just about every successful person I know meditates. And that's one way you can get in tune with yourself or get in tune with higher source, whatever your belief is, getting into that zone and that flow, because I do believe we're all here for a purpose. And it's, it's through our mess that often our message comes, right? I've just done a Own Your Future challenge with Tony Robbins and Dean Grutz, the OC and friends, and getting up at 4 a.m. And it's just been the most exhilarating experience. It's been unbelievable for anyone who's been doing the Own Your Future challenge. It's just finished, and now they've launched a project next, etc. And they were talking a lot about this, about turning your mess into a message. And, at the end of every breakdown, there's always a breakthrough. So, if you have been struggling with weight or with self-love or whatever it is, just get that this is part of the roller coaster life roller coaster journey of life, right? There's going to be times you're going to be up and you're going to be down, and it's when you're in those low points, or when you've had those really low points, that's where the genius is right there. That's where the gold is. That's where there's learnings to get from source, or from, so tap into that and really appreciate the challenges that you've had in your life, because there'll be gifts in that for you, whether you choose to embrace that. And actually, if you don't embrace those down points, often you'll find you'll attract the same kind of things again and again and again until you get it. That's why people attract the same kinds of relationships, right?
Right.
Why we yo-yo with things, because it's around that self-belief. So really, working on that mindset and really being a constant learner, and being inquiring into into how we work, and how you operate as a human being is incredibly powerful for anything that you want in life. And the more you can get into flow, I find, with anything you do, and the more you love what you do. You mentioned that, Shari, whether it's exercise or whatever it is you're eating. I know that I love it when I eat whole foods, because my body says thank you, as opposed to junk food where I'll feel sluggish. I find, sometimes I have junk food and I feel really tired and I just want to sleep, and suddenly my energy is zapped. So it's really important how you feed your body. It's like you don't put crap fuel into a car, do you? You put good fuel in a car if you want it to run properly.
Yeah, and it's exactly the same.
The same thing. Yeah, absolutely. So, Shari, how is life for you now? Would you say you're, we talked about the ongoing journey. Would you say you're happily in love now with yourself, or do you have a special man in your life?
Oh, well, it's funny. I'm still single. That's okay. That's okay.
Join the club.
That's okay. Well, and you know what? I've realised along my journey that there was a point in my life where it was a big thing that I thought, I really want somebody. And now I'm at a point where I'm okay. Like, I'm happy the way I am. I'm not saying that I wouldn't like somebody to come into my life. Absolutely, I would. But I'm very conscious about it would need to be the right person. And I would rather be on my own than have the wrong person. So that's where I'm at with that. How much do I love me? I love myself a whole lot. However, there's always still work to be done, because it is just like the layers. It's like an onion. You peel off one layer and then there's another layer and then there's another layer. So it's a continuing journey, but it's a journey that I'm loving. I'm loving that I'm on it. I'm loving that I am open to my beliefs changing, because that's such a big thing. And it's not about, we need to have the contrast. People say to me all the time, why does this have to happen? And I'm like, but how do we understand, you're talking about the peaks and the troughs. How do we understand what's really good if we don't have the negative? And it's not about never having the negative, it's about how long we choose to stay down there. Because we do have a choice. We can stay down there and wallow as long as we want, or we can get down there, get the lesson, and then pull ourselves back up. People say to me, Shari, you've had some really you've had a bit of a crappy journey. And I say, well, yeah, there's so many of us out there that have had a crappy journey. That is life. But I'm actually grateful for every single thing that has happened in my life, whether it be good or crappy, because that's what's made me who I am. I would not be the person that I am today, which I have to say, I'm a pretty amazing person. I'm not perfect and I'm continuing to improve. Yes. But, I'm happy with who I am, and I actually really love who I am. And that's because of all of those things that I've been through.
Absolutely beautiful. And gratitude is so important, with anything in life. It's such a simple thing to get into gratitude, and that's why I started the Global Good News Challenge, to help share more gratitude, to inspire people, to help decrease depression, anxiety and suicide rates on the planet. And every single day we can make a choice to either be grateful for where we are and what we're doing, or not, or for what's around us. You know, things can always be worse. You know, particularly through COVID, I know a lot of people have been depressed, and some people have lost their jobs and businesses have failed, etc. For some people, and then other people, their businesses boomed, right? So, and I would say the people whose businesses have boomed and who are having an amazing experience of life right now are people who are grateful. Most likely, they are people who also honor and nurture themselves with whole foods. They exercise, they meditate, they tap into source. They are here for a bigger reason than themselves. You know, there's certain themes that go with all people who are successful in life, who have an element of freedom where they can do what they want when they want, etc., which is what a lot of people want, is to have freedom, to be able to leave a legacy, to live a life where they make the most of their life. And to do that, it's important to be healthy, right? Now the term beautiful is interesting because we've had different versions of what beauty looks like through the media over the years. You know, Rubenesque days, we had the big ladies were beautiful, you know, then we had the skinny models who almost looked anorexic, is really not healthy. And nowadays it's interesting because fuller sized women are now, you know, considered to be beautiful again, I would say, in a lot of circles. And, you know, it is about healthy. So for you, Shari, what does beautiful mean to you? And what is beauty? When you look at someone and you say, oh, that's beautiful, what is that for you?
Just people as they are. Again, it's a choice. We can choose to see beauty where we want to see it. So I choose to see beauty in everything.
Love that. Being yourself, you know, your X factor is you. You are your X factor. You are the X factor. You know, there's no other you out there.
That's
for anyone watching this. You are the only you. And, you know, you are precious. You are amazing. You're 1 in a billion just by being born.
Yep.
And what a beautiful gift we have, the gift of life. You know, however long we're here, you know, a third of people die by the age of 65. You know, my wish for you is that you make it past 65. However, that's some people's journey, is that they don't make 65. And so when you think about that and think about how fast the years go by, it is so important to love what you do and to honor and nurture your body that takes you through this life of ours, so that you can be that vessel. The cleaner your vessel, the more you can shine bright for others, right? If you are self-destructive, and I speak from experience with this too, because I've had depression. I was very angry with the world for a long time, and I was very self-destructive. I smoked a lot, I drank a lot, I did drugs in my earlier years. You know, a lot. I was really basically killing myself in a slow way. And, you know, now I've gone an about face now. Now I love my life. I want to make the most of my life. I can't even stand the smell of cigarettes anymore. I don't know how I smoked for so long. I cannot stand it. I actually get nauseous now. I feel like throwing up when I smell tobacco smoke now. So it's interesting, isn't it? You know, I've stayed on that roller coaster ride of life, and that's why now I'm so passionate about sharing more good news and lifting the vibration on the planet. And, you know, having had 4 friends kill themselves as well by the age of 45, which has been absolutely tragic. And we know, like, the stats are 1 million people a year worldwide take their own lives every single year, and that number's gone up since COVID. So, you know, there's a reason you're watching this right now. There's a reason we're sharing this, because, you know, you can be that beacon of hope and light for the people in your life, you know, to light up whether it's your family or the wider community. You know, it's a choice in every moment, and just take that first step and get conscious to how you're doing life, and, you know, meditate on it, and you know, think to yourself, well, am I really living a life that I love right now, or is there something else that I would rather be doing right now? If money wasn't an issue, what would I love to do? I always say, love what you do, the money will come.
Yes.
Love what you do, the money will come, right? So it's so important to have that heightened experience of life. And when it comes to self-love too, this is interesting. I heard recently that we carry the DNA of 7 generations, scientifically proven, right? Which is interesting, because that means that with your subconscious beliefs and issues and things that are happening, often it could be, you know, from your ancestors. And, you know, this can be something that's very, you know, challenging to work out what is it or why is it that certain things happen. Have you done work around that, Shari?
Yeah, so journaling is such a valuable tool when it comes to these things. So definitely do some journaling. Don't worry about what comes out. Just ask yourself a question and then just write, and you'll be amazed at what comes out. But when we get to those beliefs, I ask people, who gave you that belief? And it's not to blame. It's not about blame. But so often when they just answer, they're like, oh, it came from wherever. They know where it came from, Okay, so you know that it wasn't your belief. That belief was given to you. Yeah? So what are you going to do with that belief now? It was given to you, so you don't have to keep it. You can choose whatever you want to do with it. That's your choice. So it's not about
Yes.
blame, but just to be aware that so many of our beliefs, when we do uncover them, they weren't our beliefs. They came from somewhere else, and it can go back, yes, definitely 7 generations. It's amazing what we find in there when we start doing that inner work.
And the quantum field is so powerful. One of my media clients, Karen Clark, who you know as well, Karen, the quantum queen, she talks a lot about the whole quantum field and actually focusing on what you want, not what you don't want, right? And being really conscious of that, of what you put out. So, so for example, like I'm 47, never married, no kids, right? And I've had this thing that I love my freedom. And then there's this other part of me that wants to have a child, right? And so when I spoke to Karen, she said, well, what do you want? Do you want your freedom or you want to have a child, right? And so now I think, well, I think you can have it all together. I think you can have it all in one package. But, just getting conscious to what you put out to the universe, because you will attract whatever you think about and think about, you bring about, right?
Absolutely.
So that's another story for another day. But, the quantum field, we are so incredibly powerful. It's huge. So, now, Shari, we're also members of BX. So I know Angelique has just joined BX. Welcome to the BX community.
Oh, awesome.
Angelique, fantastic too. It's a great networking group, and that's where we met, in fact. So thanks to BX for this interview happening right now. So, Shari, what do you do ongoingly to stay beautiful inside and out, and to stay healthy, other than we've mentioned a few things here, like your natural healthy eating plan, self-love, personal development? Do you have ongoing mentors with your personal development currently, or not at the moment?
I always have different mentors for different things. So I do go to a training facility because I am a fully qualified personal trainer. I know what to do. However, I really don't like the execution of exercise. So I go somewhere so that I do it. Okay, so that is a mentor, that is accountability, that is using somebody to help at something to help me to keep that in my life regularly. I also have some different people with different modalities that I go to either weekly or monthly to help me on my journey. So one of those things that I usually do on a weekly basis is called it's a non-invasive form of chiropractic. It's called network spinal analysis, and I highly recommend it. If people have never tried it, definitely check it out. It's non-back cracking chiropractic is the easiest way I can describe it. And you basically lay on a massage table face down, and they touch your body lightly, very lightly, and from the neck all the way down to the feet. And it's getting your brain talking to the rest of your body again, and everything goes back into alignment. So I do that. It's actually a highlight of my week. It's half an hour of just pure zoning out and letting my body do what it needs to. And it gives me some time and space to, do some thinking and some meditating as well. It's a form of meditation for me also. Another thing that I do regularly is I go to another BX member, actually, Michelle Fellows, for access bars. If anybody hasn't heard of access bars, there's basically points on the head that if they're touched in a certain way, it just opens us up to possibilities in our life. And that really helps me on my journey. It can be, especially I'm in business as well. I'm an introvert. I'm definitely not an extrovert. So, doing things like this and getting up and talking in front of people is something that it doesn't come naturally to me. I have to push myself to do that. And I do that because I really want to help people. But I need those things to help me with my own mindset. We always it's so important for us to find things that are going to help support us on our journey. And it is a lifelong journey. These things that I found, they're things that I will continue for the rest of my life. And as I come across different modalities, I try them. and I think, okay, well, no, that didn't really do it for me. Or, oh, yeah, I can see that that's going to be something that's really going to help me moving forward. So it really is just about trying things and finding what works for you. And the other thing to remember is that if you're trying something now and it doesn't work for you, it doesn't mean that it's never going to work for you. There are things that might not work for you now in your current situation, in current lifestyle, but in the future they may. So always being open to trying things and maybe trying them more than once, spaced apart to see that they, whether they work for you now or not.
Yeah, beautiful. There's some great tips there. And I've done some work with Michelle Fellows as well. She's amazing, and done the access bars. And lately what I've been doing more of is getting massages and making time for that, and making time for beauty treatments in my week too, because I work pretty crazy hours. I love what I do, but, a lot of time in front of the computer is not necessarily healthy, right? So, so I've actually made time in my diary now each week where I'll get a beauty treatment done, or like I might get a facial, or I'll get my nails done, or I'll get my hair done, and I'll make time for massages. And massages are so incredibly powerful for your health. They improve your circulation, they stimulate your lymphatic system, reduce stress hormones, increase joint mobility, flexibility, improve your skin tone, improve recovery of soft tissue injuries. Like, it's massive. Massage is so, so, so good for you. So I highly recommend, if you haven't had a massage for a while, get yourself a massage, and don't use money as an excuse. There's all sorts of massage schools out there that will do massages for, say, $30 an hour on the Gold Coast if you're in this area. You don't have to spend a fortune on massages, and, it doesn't have to be the happy ending massages either. There's a lot of those here on the Gold Coast. We know they're all the way down the highway, but we're not suggesting, although, sex and orgasms are probably also good for you, for your stress relief. But however that looks, although I'm happily single right now, Shari, and I'm choosing to be that way until I'm in an amazing relationship. So I think that's important too. Like, a lot of people don't want to be alone. It's like there's this big shame of being alone and being single. They think that if you're single that you're destined for the scrap heap, but that's not the case at all. You can be alone and not lonely, right? There's a lot of power in also having that you time. And I would much rather be alone than in a relationship that's detrimental to my mental health, because 95% of your happiness comes from who you choose as a life partner, is what they say, right? 95%. So, who you have in your proximity is really, really important, the power of proximity. So you want to surround yourself ideally with people who inspire you, people who lift you up, and do things that are going to nurture and honor you.
Yeah, and I think it's important to look within for that love before we go looking externally.
Yes, absolutely. Love yourself first. Shari, it's been amazing chatting to you, and I can just keep on chatting. Now, just before we get to some of your links, what are some of your future goals?
Future goals. I have a I have a big number of people that I want to impact. 13 million that I want to impact in a positive way. Yeah. And the way I came about that number was because I want to impact millions of people, and 13 is my lucky number. So I'm like, okay, well, 13 million it is.
Nice.
But that's over the course of my lifetime. I've still got a lot of years left. And it doesn't mean that, people are a number. They're definitely not a number. I do care about every single person that comes into my world, because I understand where they're at and what they're going through. And that's something that's really important when you're struggling with, this stuff in your life. It's important that you feel understood.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love that. 13 million. Well, out of 7 billion people on the planet, 7.8 billion actually, 13 million is very achievable, Shari. So, I would say you're already on the way there quite nicely. So where can people get in touch with you? And you also have a podcast as well, Shari. You're looking for people to interview on that?
Yes, well, I haven't booked up the whole year yet, so I do still have some openings. So if there's anybody out there who has an amazing story around health, definitely would love to have a chat. I really it's called Everything Weight Loss, but it's not just about weight loss. It's about anything and everything to do with health and wellness. So anything that's going to help us have a healthier life is really and I really love to talk about different things, like things that people haven't really heard of. If I have a conversation with somebody and it's something that I've never heard of, then I want to put it on my podcast, because I know if I haven't heard of it, then there's lots of other people out there who haven't. And there's so many things. We don't know what we don't know. There's so many things out there that are actually just myths, but that's what we've always been told, and so we believe them. So it's really about getting more education out into the world to bust some of those myths.
Yeah, I love that. That is brilliant. And you interviewed me on that, which I loved.
Yes.
And we talked about good news and mental health, which was really great. Now, I'm just popping some of those links into the comments here. For anyone watching this live, thank you so much for joining us or watching the replay. If you have any questions or comments, please pop them in the chat wherever you're watching this, even if the live has ended, because we will come back and look at that. So please do let us know what you got out of the show today. What are some of your ahas? And any questions you have or comments, and if you like what you've seen, then please share the love. Share the love and let your friends know. Any final words from you, Shari, before we wrap up today?
Just remember that you have everything that you need inside of you.
Beautiful. You have everything you need inside of you. I love that. And there's two places you can come from in life. There is love, or there is fear. So I say choose love, and you are beautiful already, and you can always choose healthier choices for yourself, and you will build your love every time you do choose a healthier choice for yourself, whether it's exercise or nurturing your mind or your body in however that looks. So I wish for everyone watching this to get that you are beautiful, you are powerful, and you can do whatever you want in life. It's all a choice, and it starts with those micro choices, day-to-day basis of loving yourself and being grateful. And I'm so grateful for you, Shari. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure to be with you. Do you have any events coming up or anything that we can promote other than all the links we've just put into the chat there?
I do have a workshop on the Gold Coast, an in-person workshop that's coming up on the 26th of June. So I can give you the link to that if anybody would like to come along.
Awesome. 26th of June. And what's the name of that and where's that?
So it's at Narang. It is a re-energized life workshop. It's complimentary. And basically it's about teaching people. It's hands-on, we're not just talking at you, we're actually showing you're doing things. Some really super easy ways to things that you can implement into your life to create a healthier you. So some really simple, easy, good, nutritious food we're going to teach you how to make that is really quick. We teach you how to make fermented foods, which are really good for our gut health. We teach you how to make some things with essential oils like fabric softeners that don't have all the nasty chemicals. Really practical things that you can implement into your life straight away.
That sounds amazing. I'd love to be there myself. And what time is it on the 26th of June?
It's from 1 till 4 in the afternoon.
1 till 4 in Narang. Okay, so we'll pop.
And don't eat before you come, because you're going to eat there.
Great. That sounds amazing. Wow, fantastic. Yes, we'll pop that link into the chat as well. Or if you can find it quickly, I can share it in the comments there, Shari. And I'll share what I'm up to. I have the Free Publicity Secrets workshop coming up this Thursday for anyone who wants to know how to get free publicity. It is a phenomenal workshop. Had amazing feedback from it. It is online from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time this Thursday. And for details on that, just go to freeprsecrets.com. I'll pop that to the chat. And you can come and join us absolutely free. I used to charge $97 for my 4-hour workshops when I did them offline, and I did them in Sydney, Melbourne, Gold Coast, Brisbane. I've done them in LA, in Thailand, in New Zealand, and now they're online for the whole world to access easily. So freeprsecrets.com for that. Also, I invite you to come and join our Mass Media Tribe group on Facebook. We have monthly events there where we have different guest speakers who help you share your message with the masses as well. And I will just go into there and give you that link, Mass Media Tribe. And then also each month we have the Global Good News Challenge as well. And the next one is coming up on June 7th. You can start your 6-day challenge. It's going to be for June. Start your 6-day challenge in June for the Global Good News Challenge. And there is a Facebook page there, Global Good News Challenge Facebook page, and you'll get all the updates. Just Google me, you'll find me everywhere. But, also I know I've got a lot of things going on. Every month we have the Mass Media Tribe and Global Good News Challenge, different challenges every month you can participate in, where you do a Facebook Live and you share gratitude and good news. And it is incredibly powerful to do that. I highly recommend you get into gratitude one way or another. And it's amazing what can happen when you are more grateful for life. It's phenomenal how the universe rewards you for that. And a lot of people who've been doing the Good News Challenge have actually been getting business out of it, because they share their gratitude, they're connecting with people, and then they share some good news on what they're up to. And it's amazing that people are getting business out of it. That wasn't the intention of it, but that is what's happening. Okay, we've got Shari's link here. Health begins here. Here we go. Okay, we'll put that one into the chat. And that's the 26th of June. Shari? 26th of June for that one. There we go. A whole lot of links in the chat. Please share the love. Thank you so much once again for watching today. Here's to you shining bright and lighting up all those around you. And as Gandhi says, be the change you wish to see in the world. Thank you so much once again, Shari. It's been an absolute pleasure to be with you today and to have you on the show. And we look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now.